Welcome to Versus. This is Spencer. We're going to compare two games today that are card games, Citadels and The Resistance. The story of Citadels is, well, I'm not sure what the story is. I guess you're all these different characters. It's a role selection game where you pick whether you're going to be an assassin or a thief, etc. What you're trying to do is you have these different kingdom cards where you build them out into your district. For example, here you have the fortress where it costs 5 gold. The gold are these little tokens that look like candy, which they're not. Please do not eat them. But as you go around, you can, depending on what role you pick, I'm not going to go over all the different rules. There are better videos that show that. But essentially, depending on what role you select, you can build different kingdoms. You can steal money from others, you can assassinate others so they have to sit out around, etc. And the other is The Resistance, another game where you can play with a large number of people, mostly cards. This is a social deduction game. It plays pretty quickly with a large number of players, I think up to 10 players, from 5 to 10 players. You have the same group the whole game. You are either a resistance member or a spy, and your goal is to complete missions and figure out who the bad guys are. So that's kind of an overview. Comparisons are, in many ways, they're the same. Both have cards. In Citadels, you're going to be cycling through your cards more often. You'll get more cards every round, depending on what roles you select. In The Resistance, the cards you use don't really influence the game other than the role at the beginning. The rest are more mechanical. You have voting cards that decide whether you agree with who goes on the mission or not. Your role selection card is really only used at the beginning to decide whether you are a resistance or a spy. So the cards are just kind of placeholders more than anything. The other big comparison here, and this is the main reason why I wanted to bring this one out, was that both play with a large number of players. Citadels plays, I think, up to 7 players. You can also play with 2. Doesn't play as well with 2, from my experience. But it's good because if you have a large group, you can easily get out Citadels to play with a large number of players. And same with The Resistance. Obviously, The Resistance is, I would assume, more of a party game because it has maybe less strategy and more social interaction. So many, I guess, would consider it a party game. And it plays with a large number of people, so you can easily get it out with a large group and everyone can participate, etc. Which is, I think, the biggest reason I would say these are similar, more so than cards or story or mechanisms, is because you can play with a large group. Now, obviously, there's differences. Game length is, I think, a big one. The Resistance can play pretty quickly. There's a set number, max number of rounds. The rounds go pretty quickly depending on who you're playing with. There may be a lot of arguing, maybe not. So the Resistance typically plays pretty quickly. I think most of our games can be not more than 30 minutes, even shorter often. Now, Citadels, to me, can tend to drag a little bit. The rules state that the game goes until someone has built 8 of these cards in their district or in front of them in their tableau. So this one can tend to drag a long time, especially if there are a lot of thieving and assassins. It can kick someone out for the round. And so this one usually takes quite a bit longer than others. Another big difference is The Resistance is a team game. You are not going to be on your own in this game typically. You will have someone else with you regardless of which team you're on. Whereas Citadels is more individual. You can influence and impact others based on your role. Typically, it's not purposeful. If you thief from someone or assassinate someone, you're trying to deduce what role they are selecting. But typically you're just kind of working on your own, and you're trying to get the most points possible at the end. So that's a big difference. Is here you have kind of a more individual game, and here you have a more group game. Both of these games are really good. Both of them are great to bring out with a large group of people. I think I prefer the Resistance in general, probably because Citadels tends to drag a bit for me at the end. The end game seems kind of slow. But I've played both with also different types of gamers, whether they're new to the hobby or whether they've played a lot of games before, and both tend to go over well. So that's a quick comparison between Citadels and the Resistance, and hope you enjoyed it.